I can't really do Mitch's intro, so I'm just going to skip it. Welcome to another edition of Live Trading. I am your host, Ryan Faloona. It looks like I am alone today. No guests, no AB. I got Buddy in the background here screaming at me to pet him. We're going to focus on the market and look at some trades. Get ready, folks.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Those words have been dancing around my head all night. Oh, it's Vegas lore, that phrase.
Hello and happy draft day. Happy Thursday out there to everyone in internet land. Welcome to Live Trading. We are going to find some trades today. We got a market that's trading up, kind of bucking the trend. We had earnings last night from Meta and Teladoc that are holding up. And Meta looks like it's going on a run today. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Again, just me here today. Hopefully you all are doing well. Let's go ahead and get it. All right, let me go ahead and mute my Slack here. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the SPY, and then we'll go ahead and dive into the movers tool to see what setups are in play for today. And then we will go ahead and take tickers from the chat since there's only one watch list. Good morning out there to all of you live traders. Zunaid has esport commitments and Mitch is on vacation. That is why you are only getting me. They will both be back, and look forward to another guest tomorrow. So good to see everybody. Beach Bum, John, Blind Trader, Smoked Tuna, Kevin, Becca, thank you, Walter. Awesome stuff here, folks. All right, let's dive right into the SPY. So again, we 2 days of trading down and breaking some of these support levels. One of the things that I've been waiting for is kind of a bigger sell-off. Although this sell-off is the start, I don't think that this is enough to say, hey, guess what? We're going to be in a new bull channel. I'd really like to see some more of these support levels tested. Ideally, I'd like to see the low from October tested. That's down here at 350. So we're still a ways away from that. We'll see if we end up getting that over the next several months. That's what I'm hoping for here. I'd like us to kind of trade back down, retake out 406 to the downside, and then maybe find some support at 403. We'll see if we end up getting that. As you can see, the moving average is right below it. We got the 50 at 402.25. We have the 100 at 399.12, and we have the 200 at 395.30. So we do have some moving average support as well as some of these price level supports that we've been looking at. We'll see how the market goes today. Now, we are up here in the market early on, and really the question for me is going to be, are we able to hold this? Are we able to keep these gains? Some of the times that we've gapped up, even after Microsoft and Google's earnings, we were up on the NASDAQ, but we ended up going red and closing red. So to me, that's going to be a really big thing if we do that again here today. We did get some of the prints here this morning. We got the GDP quarter over quarter, 1.1% versus the 2% estimate, so a little light on that number. Jobless claims came in a little light. Not good for some of the inflation battle. And we have the GDP price index 4.0 versus 3.7, so a little bit hotter there. Core PCE prices 4.9 instead of 4 versus the 4.7 estimate. So U.S. GDP growth falls short of the expectations in Q1. Market reacts to a potential Fed policy shift. We are trading up here today. Let's see if we can hold those gains. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of the movers here. We will talk about Tesla. Actually, let's just start off with Tesla. And this changed to Tyson Foods. That's cool. All right, let's start off with Tesla. So Tesla, remember, the big level that we were looking at here is going to be the 160 level. Now, we broke that yesterday. We really made no attempt to reclaim it. Today, we're actually setting new lows. So we broke yesterday's intraday low here in the pre-market. I think that the first move here is going to tell us a lot. Tesla likes to go back and forth, so we'll see where we end up finishing. If we go ahead and take a look at the daily chart on Tesla, here are the resistance levels that we're looking at. Broke that 160. For me, the next big one here is going to be 137, but I suspect we probably bounce at 150 and probably bounce at 140 as well. So we'll see where we go with Tesla. I know a lot of you folks really love trading this name out there. Should be in play here today. Now, again, we're going to take a look. Let me go ahead and adjust the float thing. We're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the stocks in the movers tool here. First is going to be CRFX. This is Contrafact. We've traded this one here before. In fact, these 4 lines that you see here on the chart, these are from the last time that we traded this. If we back out to the 15-minute, you can see that the stock is no stranger to big pops. However, when it has some of those big pops, it doesn't really hold them for very long. So factor that into your trading plan here today. Let's zoom in and see what we're looking at. Levels look pretty good from the previous time that we drew them. The next thing that I want to do is, of course, add another level right up here at the highs, which we are now breaking through. We'll see where we end up going on that once the market opens. One of the things that I'd really like is obviously move back towards the VWAP. We're a little bit extended from the VWAP. If we can move back towards it, that would be excellent. Perhaps we can get a tradable bounce there or a tradable setup there. Next here is going to be Atom. This is ticker ATOM. This is Atoma Incorporated. We were as high as 874 here today, leaking a little bit down to the 670 handle. We'll see if we end up holding this and making a move back towards VWAP. I think that this one has run before. I'm not sure how often we traded this, but as you can see, one of the things that we're doing is we traded back up and stopped right shy of this 9 level here. This goes back to a resistance level from early February. So we'll see if we can take that out. If we can, likely going to trade above 9 here today. We're pretty extended from that, so we would need a pretty big run here. We'll see if we end up getting that volume looking good here this morning so far. Let's see what it looks like after the market opens. Next here is going to be UCAR. This is UPower. This is, of course, the crazy IPO from the other day. If we take a look at the 15-minute chart, you can see just how crazy that is. Traded all the way up to 75. I don't think we're going to get anywhere near that anytime soon. However, we are popping here today. We are popping on volume, and IPOs do have some traders still looking at them, or recent IPOs. 566 going to be your pre-market high that I'm looking to take out here. If we can do that, maybe we can get some more action. 6 probably going to be on deck today if we're able to take that out. So we'll watch UCAR. We'll see if this can actually stay out of halts and give us tradable setups. Now, the big mover from yesterday is going to be Meta, right? They reported earnings yesterday. Really good earnings report, traded up significantly. I've been on record a lot saying that I really don't like the company, don't like the product, and don't like the stock. So this I'm not trading. I will say that there were a lot of people in the happy hour that were kind of looking at this and saying, oh man, this is a pretty good setup for a short here. We really kind of butted up against 230 yesterday, finally broke through that. And the good news here for the Meta Bulls is that we're actually able to hold that level above 230 here. We took the next leg up. We took out 240. If we take a look at the 15-minute, as far as recent price action goes, we are in new territory. Now, if we look more to the left here, and we look at the daily chart, you can see exactly how much of a pop we've been. Now, there's more stock history here that I'm actually not able to load on this chart. So these are not new all-time highs, but this is certainly a new recent high. Meta having a lot of strength here. I definitely think that if this momentum continues out of the open, you might be able to trade this on a gap and go. I'm going to pass on Meta personally, but I know that this is quite a popular stock out there. One of the other members of Happy Hour, very, very bullish on this stock, thinking about adding it pretty much on any weakness, as he suspects the next election cycle will be big for Meta. We'll see if that materializes. Next one here is going to be a smaller cap. This is LLAP, and we've traded this one before. We've actually seen this pop and drop before. So again, be careful with that. Volume not as good as I'd like to see here. Nice little move here in the pre-market, but the volume not great. So we'll see if that volume can actually pick up when the market actually opens. Top here, going to be your next one. This is Top Financial. We are popping here a little bit as well. Again, volume not terribly impressive, but we are up a little bit. So we'll see if any of these set up. A couple others to take a look at here are going to be Snap. Snap reports after market today. So this is trading up today in sympathy with Meta. Remember, though, they're going to have their own report after hours today. So unless you're really willing to stick in for the earnings report, that binary event, this is probably just a day trade, and we'll see where Snap ends up going. Also have Tilray on here. Not much movement, but the pot stocks always have a following, so might as well mention it. MCRB popped up a little bit here today, but bled back a lot of its gains. We'll see where that ends up. Pinterest, same deal as Snapchat. pretty much popped here today just in sympathy, but really didn't even really get back to where we opened yesterday. This also trading in sympathy, and their earnings are also today. So Snapchat and Pinterest today. Let's see how they do after the market or after the market closes and they report. Bitcoin holding steady here today. We had a wild ride in Bitcoin yesterday. We traded up, we traded down near the end of the day, holding steady here today. But Mara still getting some action here in the pre-market. Again, my big warning here is that I'm not sure how much these miners actually follow the price of Bitcoin, but if Bitcoin starts moving, you can expect these names to get some movement as well.
Do we know why, Ryan? There was that big like sell off on Bitcoin toward the end of the afternoon yesterday. It went down like 5% in an hour.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know exactly why. My first thought was that when we saw FRC have another weekday yesterday, and I'll go ahead and pull that up here, I thought maybe that was just kind of reaffirming a flight to other speculative risk assets. And I thought maybe that was why Bitcoin traded up, but that doesn't really explain the sell off that we got later in the day. If you found any news, I'd love to hear it. To me, it just seems like kind of a regression move for Bitcoin. The good thing here is we are up about 3.7% here on the Bitcoin futures contract, just shy of 29,000. So if we cross 29,000, you can bet that the next target will be 30,000.
Yep. So obviously, big mover that I'm sure you hit on this morning. You're not your favorite company, Ryan, but Meta absolutely crushed on earnings, up 15%. I'm curious if anyone out there in the chat's planning on trading in Meta, and if so, how? Because whenever I miss a move like this, Ryan, I'm basically like, all right, well, I missed that one. Like, hopefully next time I am in before. But like right now, and it's already up 15%. Like, I'm not gonna go in and short it just because it's showing so much strength. But I'm also not gonna go out and go long when I've already missed the big move.
Yeah, waiting for your setup is going to be paramount here. This is one of the things that we harp on this show all the time when it comes to process. If you did want to trade Meta today for like a quick day trade based on the strength that it's shown here in the pre-market after its report yesterday, one of the things that I would suggest is using the 9 EMA. So what I've done here just temporarily, and again, full disclosure, Aaron, you're absolutely right. I don't like the stock. I don't like the company. I will not be trading it. However, there is a setup here for you. If with the 9 EMA, which is this orange line that you see here on the chart, we actually pop above that on pretty good volume, I think that you could probably ride that momentum wave up. You might also want to use RSI or MACD. I don't know if you use those for your momentum trading. A lot of people prefer the daily reading as opposed to an intraday reading. However, 9 EMA would be how I do that. If we cross above and continue to move up, the closing trigger would be a move back down through the VWAP. If Meta remains strong, you might be able to collect a couple of points on that. And if you use options, those percentages could be pretty nice. So that's how I would trade this. But Aaron, your point is well made. I would actually rather this come back in for a potential long setup as opposed to chasing momentum. I don't think that we're in the best environment for chasing momentum, but we have seen some of these stocks that really report earnings, really have a lot of tailwinds, end up giving you a trade where you could actually use the 9 EMA as your exit trigger.
Got it. Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I think a lot of times you have these big movers and people want to come in and start buying because, like they're FOMO buying, and next thing you know, there's a little there's a little sell off, and you were, so it's important not to get swept up in the FOMO all the time.
Yeah, and it's easier said than done, right? I mean, if we see a stock that you're really familiar with and you see it's running, and it's even worse if you're like, oh man, I had a good feeling about earnings, or I really wanted to buy that. It's even harder to control that FOMO, but that's something that we have to do. That's one of our daily tasks here as traders. Taking a look at some of the other earnings this morning, American Airlines did report. Their conference call is currently in progress. They're higher here. Same thing is true with any of the airlines, though. I don't really like this business. It's not easy. It's not easy to make a lot of money in this business. Stocks don't really perform all that well. Kind of a hard thing to trade here, but looking at it, nice that it's holding up. The other one that I wanted to mention here is going to be Eli Lilly. And this is not one that I normally trade. I normally stay away from this, but Eli Lilly trading up just over 3.5% here this morning. We do the catalyst here. Eli shares are trading higher after the company reported that Surmont 2 study met both co-primary objectives and all key secondary objectives. I can't even pronounce this drug. The company also reported mixed Q1 earnings results. This is the Mounjaro drug, right? The weight loss diabetes drug. Looks like this is going to be approved for weight loss for the obese in the future. Should be a huge market. Eli Lilly being rewarded for that today, trading up just under 4%. We're actually moving a little bit higher here.
Yep, catching up on the chat, seeing what everyone else is watching. Looks like Mods is watching BBAI. Charles Godwin's asking, Ryan, why the 9 EMA?
Oh, really good question there, Charles. 9 EMA exponential moving averages are going to react a lot more to the current price action. First of all, you would use an exponential moving average over a simple moving average because the exponential moving average weights the recent data points higher than the further away data points. Furthermore, we select the 9 EMA because it's a short-term trade, so we want a short-term look at that. I don't necessarily need 50 bars of information to calculate my moving average. For a stop trigger, that actually might make me wait through a sell-off a little bit more. This was done, basically, this was something that I've learned from watching other traders on gap and go strategies. There are other things that you can incorporate this with. I obviously use the VWAP on pretty much any intraday chart, but 9 EMA, big move, big reason there is we want short bars to give us an accurate trigger. We don't want to be too short, but we want short bars to give us an accurate trigger. We also want to use an exponential so that it weights recent price movement more so than older price movement. Again, short-term trade, short-term indicators. BBAI Mods, you were talking about BBAI showing some muscle here. We are trading up here. AI, I kind of said that AI is like a fad, and I'm not sure what stocks are going to make it. Fads move in waves, right? So we already saw one big up wave in a lot of the different AI names. I mean, you folks were trading AI every single day. Bullfrog AI was on there. CX AI, of course, was on there. So some of these AI names probably have more runs in them. The one thing that I'll say here is that although we have some decent volume sticks here in the pre-market, we want to see consistent expanding volume. We don't want outlier volume pops. That's how you actually get knifed back in, especially if you buy that upside break. What we'd rather see here is some consistent volume expansion. Maybe we will get that here when the market opens. While we're talking about that, let's go ahead and check in on Bullfrog AI, see if we got anything there. See, really no movement here, despite some pre-market volume. We can also check AI, see if AI is giving us anything. They're up a little bit, but again, not a whole lot. We can watch these as a basket here today. Cal is asking about CFRX. We did cover CFRX already. This is one of the big moves here this morning. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and adjust this line a little bit. We're going to mark the top of that other sell-off here. Let's go ahead and now mark the top here. We've got 273. One of the things I will be watching here, let me pull CFRX up in another window. We'll watch the level 2 out of the gate. I think that will tell us where some of that momentum resides. This little pullback that we're getting here in the pre-market, this is great. This is absolutely great. In fact, let me just minimize the 9 EMA for right now. We'll use that if we go and examine Meta. We'll see if that gap and go trade actually worked, or if Meta pulls back and gives you a long spot here. But yeah, CFRX definitely on watch here today, Cal. Don't be sorry, man. It's no problem at all. I want to give it to Ryan for the solid bearish outlook overall last week. Matt, I'm not sure what you're referring to there. But yeah, no, I'm still in the bearish camp. Even through the most recent run, I've remained bearish. Again, it's kind of a larger look at the market. I do think that we're going to have a bigger prolonged down move. I think one of the things that's going on right now is that there are a lot of people expecting a down move. There are a lot of people that are bearish, and when the market sniffs that out, it likes to do the opposite, and it likes to punish those people. That's one of the reasons you don't see me carrying short positions from day to day, because it's back and forth all the time, and I don't feel great. Although I feel we're going to sell off, I don't feel like I have a good grasp on the timing, and I'm not willing to expose myself to more risk until I feel more sure about that. Let's see, what else did we miss on the chat here? Sunny asking about Amazon. Remember, Amazon reports today, so that's probably the biggest report of the day. It's after hours. We are trading up here today. That's also probably in sympathy with some of the other tech earnings. I know Amazon is a favorite. This is a company that I do love. And while I'm not actually going to play this for earnings, I am definitely curious to see what they have to say in their print, as well as how the stock actually trades. Looking at the daily chart here, this is actually kind of a bullish setup for me. We seem like we're in an uptrend here. We'll see if Amazon can actually pop through. 114 is the high from the most recent move up. And I think if you get through that, 120 is probably your next stop. Let's see what else we missed in the chat here. Okay, let's take a look at some of the other stocks from the other day. SAI going to be one of them. We've got about a minute and a half here till the market opens, so I'll try and make this quick. SAI, we had a really good day yesterday on SAI. I know it knifed back down later in the afternoon. We're a little bit lower here in the pre-market today. We don't really have a whole lot of support. We're kind of in no man's land. The one thing that I'd really like to see here is I'd really like to see this 366, 365 level from yesterday, where the stock kind of found support. I'd like to see us reclaim that here today. That would actually coincide with a VWAP reclaim, and that would be really good for our setup for long side trades on SAI. Smoke Tuna, you said you're watching SAI. We will take a look at that as well. I'll go through some of the other stocks that you have here as well. INAB, one of them, this is down 10%. Oh, that actually reminds me. Let me flip over to the losers section here. I think there was one on here. FRC still on there. No, this is not the one that I was looking for, but this is something interesting. So Intel reports today. I'm really curious to see how that report goes. We had an interesting discussion in Happy Hour yesterday about Intel, about this being a potential double. Obviously, the CHIPS Act, I don't think is going to be affected by the debt ceiling negotiations. Intel should be a beneficiary of that CHIPS Act. I believe that the board or the CEO had some activist type behavior in both the UK and the US. So I really think that Intel probably is going to be a pretty good double as more of a longer term play. One thing to note is that they did cut their dividends really significantly. So dividend is one of the things that people really liked about Intel. That's really been shaved. So maybe we'll, over the next couple of quarters, we'll have some news about that increasing. We'll see. I do kind of like Intel for a swing here, but really what I'd want to see is a trade down towards the 26 level just to try and get the best possible price. Okay, market's open. Let me flip over to the scanner.
Alrighty, guys, it is officially, the market is open.
And Aaron, happy draft day, man. Happy draft day.
Yeah, I was gonna say for you, I mean, like, it's a big deal when you're a fan of one of the worst NFL teams in the league. It's this is your Super Bowl, right? Like, you know, you're not gonna make it to the real Super Bowl, so this is the closest you're gonna get, and the most hope that you'll probably have all year.
Well, Aaron, as Bob Dylan once said, times they are a changing, and I think that the Lions are actually going to be a very, very strong team. In fact, just to give you a little preview.
Oh, I was talking about the Bears. The Lions are good.
Oh, I see what you were doing there. You were slipping it in there. Okay, so a couple of things. So first of all, I have the Lions winning the NFC North this year. I do want to see what the Bears do. A lot of holes on that roster, but really, really improved. And Justin Fields is an absolute monster. So you get him some help. I'm going to be really excited. I got to say, I nerd out on draft day. It's one of my favorite days of the year. Big NFL.
Well, here's also the good thing about, and so, yeah, the Lions are in kind of a different position this year than they've been really in the past, I don't know, 10, 15 years, where they kind of do have some expectations, actually have a pretty solid team. And so they'll be able to, like, look around and try to pick up some different players that will help their problem positions. But what's great for you, Ryan, as a fan of the Bears, who had one of the worst records in the NFL last year, not only, of course, are your draft picks going to be better, but also, like, the roster's so bad that any position they draft, you can say, great, we needed that, right? Whether it's an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, receiver, running, etc. Basically anything besides a quarterback for the Bears, you can be like, yeah, we needed the help at that position. So
yeah, absolutely. Real quick here, CFRX, this is a pullback. We'd actually like to pull this back to the VWAP, and Hills looking like it's trying to take the top off at 123. Market's first move here is up. That's all expected. Real quick, just to address the clown comment here by Jake Crandall in the chat. Fields is obviously a quarterback. He's extremely good at running, and when you have bums playing with you on the offense, you're going to do more running and more relying on your legs. So again, if you go back and watch some of his college tape from Ohio State, dude's dropping dimes all over the place, and even threw some dimes to some of the mediocre receivers that he's had. So really, really excited about that. And Aaron, to your point about the line, teams that build their team from the line out, both the defensive and the offensive line, have sustained success in this league. Ryan Poles, the Bears GM, was a lineman, so I'm really hoping that that kind of holds in here. By the way, really quick, Hills rejected off this 123 here. We'll see if this can actually pop through. Really good volume here on Hills. See if we can get and move higher. Meta, this is one that we wanted to check out. Let me go ahead and add, let me get the clown comment off. Hang on one sec. All right, let me go ahead and add the 9 EMA here to this chart. Make it a little bit more visible for us. And we'll turn this on when we're looking at Meta just to see if this trade ended up working out. Now, Meta first move back here is down through the view app. So let's talk a little bit about the potential gap and go setup. First of all, one of the things you want on an entry trigger is a move up through the 9 EMA. As you can see, since the market opened here, this first little print, this is kind of a holdover from the pre-market session. So we really didn't cross through it. This first move down, not really concerning for me. Let's see if we end up holding here. If we do see some of this volume kind of ramp back up, maybe we can actually cross through that 9 EMA and get a long side trigger. Stay focused saying, Ryan, where is Andy? Unfortunately, Andy's been extremely generous with his time with us. Huge friend of Benzinga. He is actually busy today. So I did offer for him to come back on. Give you a little sneak peek. You might see him tomorrow along with another guest. So stay tuned for that.
Special. Yeah.
Tomorrow.
I tried to get a quick guest for us this morning too, but unfortunately he was busy as well. But we've got a great chat here with about 400 plus people hanging out, and then Ryan and I. So if you guys got any stocks, any trades you want to check out, as always, just drop them in the chat and we'll take a look. Something I've been watching, Ryan, is the so two kind of sector ETFs that I've been watching the trends on. That's XLE for energy and then XLF for financials. So obviously with financials, we've had all this turmoil the past couple of weeks with, well, really going back like more than a month ago with the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, and then now FRC and everything. But really, I mean, PacWest came in. We talked about this the other day. PacWest came in and kind of really put some of those fears about the banking sector aside. But then KRE is one that tracks more the regional banks. So these three ETFs I've been watching and tracking. And basically what I'm looking for, Ryan, is I'm looking for a day, or I'm looking for basically, I want to see like a trend in XLF and XLE that are correlated, that are going the same. So if they're both going up over a, say, like 2-3 day period, I'm going to take that as a good sign that kind of some recession fears are going away, because if the energy, XLE and XLF are both trading up together, it to me that's like a clear sign that, okay, the market's not that worried about a recession. Basically every recession you see financials and energy get hit, not just like growth tech stocks, etc. So right now I've been watching for that trend. Actually today it looks like XLE is slightly in the red, albeit pretty much flat. And then XLF is actually trading a little bit higher. So you know what? I'll take that, because if they're both trading down, it kind of scares me, because I'm like, shoot, if people are selling energy and financials, that's like the type of market that you typically see when you're heading toward a recession.
One of the things that I like to do here, Aaron, just to kind of get a holistic view of what the market is doing, I like to put the SPY chart on the daily here, and then add use the compare function built into the chart here to add some of these different ETFs. You had mentioned the XLE, the XLF. I've added pretty much all of them here. This kind of gives you an idea of what's strong. Right now, I have this looking back towards the beginning of the year. This gives me an idea of what's holding the S&P up, what's strong versus the S&P, and what's not so strong. And what you have here is going to be XLY. This one is going to be stronger than the SPY. I believe it's the XLC. Yep, XLC, and then also the XLK. So technology, one of them that is really had outperformance here so far this year. So this is one of the ways I look at it. I kind of consult this a little bit, but we'll take a look at some of the other ones. By the way, while we were talking there, Aaron, one of our small caps here, CFRX, took the top off 273. We've got great volume here. To me, we got a 3 test coming up. I know I've got 298 marked off on the chart here, but I really suspect that this is going to push up in test 3. Might we get rejected at 3? Sure. But I think a 3 test here would be really good. We're able to hold those gains and trade sideways. We actually might get another trading opportunity above 3 if we end up popping.
A couple questions. I see Brug Light in the chat saying cruise lines report next week. Norwegian decided to report earlier than set date. Thoughts on cruise lines in general? I actually haven't looked at cruise lines in general. I will say, let me check. I mean, like, here's one thing that there's actually a recent article in Harper's Magazine by, I forget the woman's name, an author who went on a Gwyneth Paltrow like celebrity goop cruise or something, just wrote about it. But one thing that was interesting that I found was that basically the price for a cruise has been the same since like 1996 as it is today, even like adjusted for inflation. So it's like, to me, that's not a great sign, right? If you know, like the price hasn't increased at all. No, I think it was the same price. Like it was like $500 to go on this cruise in 1995 and still $500. So even though that $500 is really a lot less now with inflation, that's how much the cruises were charging. So for an industry, that's pretty much never a good sign, as if like the price is going down of your product and service. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the cruise lines. I think at a certain point, you know, they've gotten so beaten up at certain points over the past couple of years from COVID that they're like a no-brainer investment, that you're like, okay, like once Royal Caribbean Cruise got down to like $20 at the COVID lows, or got back down to $30, right? They've had some decent rallies, but it's trading at $60 right now. I don't really have I'm not super bullish these cruise lines. How about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same camp as you, Aaron. There's definitely a desire to trade the names that were really, really beaten down. If a name has really, really been smoked, there's a likelihood that it's going to do some regression to the mean, so long as they're not going out of business. And even with the whole COVID thing, the cruise lines do not look like they are going out of business. I see a lot of advertising for them on TV, so I know that they're trying to get customers in there.
Have you ever been on a cruise?
Yes, I have. I think it was Norwegian. It was a Eastern Bahamas cruise. We went to St. Martin, St. Thomas, and Nassau, and it was absolutely fantastic. I think I was 19 or 20 at the time. Had an absolute great time. Ports of call were great. Weather was great. Boat was great. Food was great. The whole night. I had a great time. So I'd go on one again. I think the next one I want to try is an Alaskan cruise. But for Brug Light's question here, tune in next week. Because one of the things that I want to do, Brug, is I want to grill Mitch on what Mitch is on a cruise right now. He's literally on a Royal Caribbean cruise right now. And I want to know things like foot traffic. I want to know like demographics of the passengers that he noticed. How packed was it? You know, how was everything? Was the service good? Did they cut back on any of amenities or anything like that? Those are the types of things that I want to get from boots on the ground research. We're in luck because Mitch is on one right now, and we should be able to get that feedback next week. Great question. And real quick here, I was just kind of taking a look at some of these cruise lines here. Real quick, just an update on CFRX. This looks like the best setup here so far today. Looks like we're actually trying to push apart this 290. Currently have 290 as the high print. Again, my suspicion here is that we test 3. If we pop above, maybe it runs a little bit more. But I like to see this 298.3 level get tested here. CFRX volume still really good here today. Let's see. Smoke Tuna saying I would stay away from SFR today. Well, let's check on that as well. SFR, really nothing going on here. Had kind of a bum day yesterday. Really kind of just bled down. Now we're just kind of holding this 113 handle. I don't see really any volume here. To me, this looks a little bit dangerous. One of the other things I wanted to bring up here, it's not a trade setup, a BXRX. Maybe this does bounce because of this huge gap down, but what happened here is that they had an offering, right? And a lot of these biotech companies, you can expect that, especially after a run. If we take a look at BXRX here, it really hasn't been on a recent run. We did pop up to this 340 here, but look at what's happened since we did that. We went from 340 to 85 cents in 2 sessions. I guess if you want to count today, 3 sessions. This is a huge, huge sell-off. And when you have some of these big pops on some of these small cap stocks, especially if they're bio stocks and really need money for drug development or therapy development, be careful with that, because again, this would have sucked. Looks like it was trying to curl yesterday, maybe reclaim that 2 level, maybe give us an opportunity, and then we got news of the offering. The thing absolutely plunged. So the other thing is that we've seen is that some of these companies announce that they're going to have an offering and then withdraw the offering, and that causes the stock to pop. So something to keep on your watch list here. For me, I'm not trading BXRX today. I just wanted to bring this up because this is one we've had on the list before.
Yeah, but I kind of tend to stay away from some of those biotechs just because I feel like I don't really have a great edge in them. But you know,
and Aaron, you know, you're a smart guy, all right? Despite being a Cardinals fan, you're a real smart guy. Let me ask you, when you go through some of the PRs or the documents from some of these biotechs, do you ever feel like you're reading a different language? Because I have trouble pronouncing the drug names. I often don't know what the drugs are doing. Sometimes they're treating a disease that I can't pronounce. For me, it's a tough read to get through it. And I feel like if you're trying to do research and you're reading through things and you're constantly looking things up, or you don't know what some of the different terms mean, you're really not prepared to make a great assessment on that piece of news. And that's where I struggle with biotech. I often reach out to people that I think are more experienced than I am and try and get an idea of what's going on via that. Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah, and I think so. With that said, though, Ryan, I would say so. Like, there certainly is, you know, a lot of verbiage and you know, medical and biological, like scientific language in a lot of these press releases when it comes to biotech stocks that make it difficult. But what I will say is that if for whatever reason you're out there and you love biotech stocks and you want to make that your like thing is biotech stocks, I think you can learn some of these different key phrases and learn like, okay, like what does this mean about the PDUFA date, or learn about like, okay, if they say this in the press release, does that mean the data is like trending well in their clinical trial, all these things. So I think even if for someone who doesn't necessarily have like a medical background, it's possible to learn you know, what these press releases are saying and kind of look out for certain things. Me, however, I have not really spent the time to do that just because I don't have any, you know, I don't have any ties to the biotech industry. Not my favorite one to trade. Yeah. Again, if it were, I would go out of my way to kind of learn some of these common phrases that you see, and that way you can kind of quickly skim through a press release and say, okay, yeah, this sounds pretty good, or okay, this is the company trying to say, hey, our results at the trial weren't great and we're going to need to raise more capital, yada yada yada. It doesn't sound good. So you know, I would just kind of try to figure out if that is something you would like to do. Great, then try it out, but not for everyone.
Yeah, not for everyone. And it's a really good point about the pattern recognition, learning certain things like the PDUFA date, what the phase 1, 2, and 3 trials entail. I'm still kind of doing that. I remain in the camp of being a lifelong learner. So I'm all about that. Silver Fox, hey now, I'm a Cards fan. Yeah, sorry about that. Aaron and I, we're good at joking with each other back and forth. It's kind of a long-standing thing since he was hired here. I actually fielded a report from somebody that was like, hey, this guy's saying he works for Benzinga, but he doesn't. And I was like, I don't really know. And then I actually met Aaron and realized.
Oh yeah, that was from Sarah. That was from Sarah the Strat Sniper, right?
Yep, that's right. But
that was like the first day, yeah.
Little did I know that I was about to get an education in a scrappy dude that loves to try and move us forward here. So Aaron and I joke around a lot. It is what it is. It keeps things interesting. Let's say.
I will say though, Ryan, like I'm getting to very foreign territory with the whole Cardinals thing. This is the worst start to a Cardinals season since 1973. So not only in my lifetime, but you'd have to double the amount of years I've been alive to get to 50 for how long the Cardinals have had this poor of a start. And it's like, I don't think my body doesn't know like what to do, because it's like my body's like, it's springtime. This means the Cardinals should be in first place of the Central right now, all this stuff. And it's like not what's happening right now. And it just feels weird. Something's off. The vibes are off. And it's getting to the point where it's like, it's bad, Ryan. Like I don't even know what's going to happen.
Here's what I'll say. I'll try and give you a little bit of hope, Aaron. First of all, the Cardinals team has an immense amount of talent. All right, that's number one. That's not disputable. No matter who you root for, Cardinals team is stacked with talent. It's early, and I think that they probably turn it around. So I would try not to worry. By the way, real quick, as far as market stuff goes, did see a bunch of different Tesla calls here spread between the 155 and the 160s expiring at the end of April and the beginning of May. This coincides with a bounce on Tesla. So we talked about this having a very weak pre-market. We rocketed through that VWAP. We've been back and forth from that VWAP. Now it looks like we're pushing away from that VWAP, and that came shortly after the call buying. One of the things that I'll say here is none of these were gigantic. So maybe this is something we want to see if there are repeat calls being bought. If Tesla's performance holds up here, maybe we can get a little bit more of a move there. So Tesla looking good here so far, bouncing early on. We'll see if that actually continues. One of the other things here, Hills, this is really pulled back from that 123 spot. And remember, one of the first things that I was saying at the beginning here is I wanted to see if the market can hold up. Really, really good shout out here by, who was that? Someone was saying SOXS nice. I can't find the comment. Sorry. Sorry to whoever it is that I'm shorting here, but yeah, one of the things that I was thinking is that if we reverse, some of these ETFs might be a good play. Now, the market, it did pop first, and it's coming back in a little, but it looks like it's trying to find its footing. So let's see if we actually get a better setup here on SOXS. One of the things that I really want to look for here with some of these stocks are, do they get separated from their VWAP? If they get separated from their VWAP, sometimes that's going to be enough to play a regression back to the mean. So instead of shorting SOXS, maybe play SOXL, especially if it looks like this little bit of a dip here is going to reverse and go higher. So really, really good stuff. You Cards fans, I love you Cards fans ganging up on me. It is fun. It's all in good fun. We're out here smiling. Don't even worry about it. You don't have to be sorry, Becca. It's totally fine. You want to take a look at Top because it's halting. So Top, this was actually on our list here. Nice little volume pop here. Moved it through the VWAP, halted here at 762. Let's see where it opens. I don't have any read on this. Top Financial, don't really see any news other than the halt on the circuit breaker. And as far as what this company does, online brokerage firm in Hong Kong. So that would be a no touch for me just based on where it's at. But nice little pop here. Let's go ahead and check in on CFRX again. So CFRX hasn't yet taken out that 3. Now we have knifed a little bit here back towards the VWAP. We're still holding the 273 level that we identified. That was the pre-market breakout level. Let's see if we actually get it to come back into this VWAP. This actually might be a decent entry here if we're able to get that and hold. So CFRX, we'll see if this ends up going. EVLO, looks like for you penny players out here, EVLO, this was 10 cents yesterday, currently 24 cents today, curling back towards the high. Let's see if we can end up getting that here, right? High, we're going to look for this 32 cent mark, currently at 24. Volume looking good here. On Evelo Biosciences. Smoke Tuna calling out Buru. Let's take a look at Buru here. This is Nuburu. It did pop a little bit. Fairly decent volume to me, and not really excited about this name yet. If we take a look at the 15-minute, you can see, look at this. We popped up to 8. This thing can't even get out of its own way. Nasty looking chart here. I'd be careful with this one. I think you might be able to find a better setup. Let's check in on FRC after the past couple of days and see what that's doing. Okay, so FRC still at the low here. Maybe this bounces. Again, bank plays here for me. I'm not a fan. Definitely don't want to take this. Consensus from the happy hour, in case you're interested, is FRC is a no touch, really. If you're going to trade it for short-term trades, be very careful, trade on the technicals. But by the way, we talked a little bit about cruise lines, seeing some Carnival Cruise options come in here. These are pretty small, only about 26K a piece, but repeat, and these expire in July, end of July 21st. Someone had asked, Matt, you had asked about Heli. This is Helen of Troy. I can't remember. I've heard this stock before, but I can't remember what this does. Huge pop here to 110.
I've actually looked up. So Helen of Troy makes they make a product. I think they make hydro flasks. These water bottles that I have.
Oh,
they're like a conglomerate, and so it's not like it's not like a stock that's just with these water bottles. But I think I was like, oh, these hydro flasks are so popular. I want to look up who makes them, and I'm pretty sure it ended up being like the company that makes the hydro flasks ended up being under this Helen of Troy conglomerate.
Okay, so Helen of Troy is a consumer products company with business segments in housewares, health, home, and beauty. It's exactly what Aaron just said. The houseware segment offers house and kitchen tools, household cleaning tools, food storage containers, storage items, and baby care products. So this, you know what, now that we're talking about this, I think one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pay attention to more of those consumer goods. In fact, my trip to Costco this weekend, I'm actually going to be looking at some food storage containers after the massive success of the cereal containers that I bought. And my OCD that never really goes away, CDO for all of you OCD people out there. I'm going to take a look at this, and I'm going to pay attention to what brands are under the Helen of Troy umbrella. This is a big move here. It looks like this is on earnings. I had no read on this prior to going in. I had no read. This looks like a beat, both the top and bottom line. They initiated a fiscal year 2024 outlook. Looks like we're having a CEO change. Boy, lots of news out of Helen of Troy here today. Up 19%. Yikes, that is a big move up. Nice thing here, this is a big move off the bottom. This is kind of what we were talking about with stocks that are beaten down. It's really enticing to try and trade them on a regression to the mean here. Maybe that's what you're getting on Helen of Troy. Man, this thing's down. This thing's down real big. This thing was as high as 266 down here at 98. Nice day here, though. Might have to go through this when I don't know how much research I'm going to be doing today with the draft on later today. By the way, Aaron, going to get some Lou Malnati's pizza for that draft. It's going to be fantastic. But I think that I will look into Helen of Troy here. I don't know enough about.
Yeah, let me. I'm looking up the brands real. Okay, yeah, so I was right. So it is. So some of the brands you might know: Osprey,
Yep.
Hydro Flask, OXO, Beauty and Wellness, Dry Bar. So those what?
I was just going to say, you said OXO, and Juan in the chat here said OXO. I love these kitchen tools, by the way. Love these kitchen tools. I'm now a fan. You guys watch the conversion of a fan live here on Live Trading. I'm a fan of Helen of Troy products.
And then in the beauty and wellness space, you have Dry Bar, which is a like hair type place. I know I've seen some of those around. You have Hot Tools. I'm not very familiar with that. Braun, Pure, P-U-R. I think that's like a water purifier thing. Vicks, like Vicks Vapor Rub. Honeywell.
Man.
Honeywell, that's a big company. I forget
what a product portfolio this company has. I'm sorry, and frankly, a little embarrassed that I'm not familiar with Helen of Troy more. But what a great product list you just riddled off there, AB. Oh, by the way, all I had to do was badmouth FRC, and we popped into an upside halt on volume, so that's fun. FRC here halted 604 to the upside. Big pop here, FRC. Adam's still weak here. Really need that to come back up towards this VWAP to get going. Look through some of this stuff here. How's Roku doing after its earnings? Okay, so we're about flat here on Roku, although nice little bounce on Roku here. That's actually encouraging for the market holding up. By the way, we had just shown you SOXS, saying that if the market can turn back up, good trade might be SOXL. SOXS looks like it's still at highs here. Let's see let's take a look at SOXL. It's still at lows. I would have thought that these would have reacted a little bit more already. Silver Fox talking about Tesla. Let's take a look at Tesla. They had a big move there. I haven't seen any new options in here. Nice little move, maybe a regression back to the VWAP. I guess I do see a little bit of calls here. These aren't all that big. And let's check on ATVI after that news yesterday of the deal being rejected. Okay, so it's kind of holding in here, not really breaking down. For a potential trade here on ATVI, really think it needs to hold 76. At this point, as long as you're north of 76, maybe you can actually play this for a potential gap fill on the way back up. We would really need to clear out 79, 77. Let's just call it 80. Really would need to clear out 80 to the upside for this to kind of get the juice, but maybe we do get a gap fill on here. Also worth noting, one of the gentlemen from Happy Hour that follows this company quite closely was saying that even if the merger doesn't go through, right? So even if Microsoft and Activision both appeal to the CMA and that is rejected, they still might have good enough earnings to trade back up. He thinks the product portfolio here is great as well. Looking forward to Diablo 4 in June this year. So ATVI might have its own tailwinds to move back up here. We'll see if this actually ends up materializing. I traded ATVI not last year, but the year before, going into the new year. I traded it to the long side and then to the short side, and miraculously was successful on both. Haven't touched it since. Really want to see if it can actually break from the 79. I'll say this. I haven't been swinging much. I'd swing some calls here. We break 80 to the upside here on ATVI. I could swing some calls there. Current month, maybe hold it for a week. I'll keep this on watch here.
Actually, I like it.
I'm going to do, what do we have here? I'm going to say 80, right? Alert me, using the Benzinga Pro alerts, by the way, price alerts here. Alert me when we are equal or above 80. All right, that is active on the chat. So that should alert me, even if I'm looking at a different chart. CFRX, we got a big pullback here on CFRX. We're through the VWAP. We held the 253. Let's see if we can consolidate here and move higher on CFRX. FRC apparently is open and halted up again. Oh my God. Okay, folks, mistakes were made. I apologize. I know I just said FRC no touch, but for all of you trying to trade some of this riskier stuff, this was a great trade. Definitely was a great trade. I missed it. My risk parameter rules kept me out of this, but man, that's 2 halts to the upside here now. Oh, Marie, been holding ATVI since it was $15 a share. Marie, you are a champion. What a trade there. I guess the only question that I would have for you is, do you have a sell target, and what is your time horizon? Are you planning on holding this for years more? Is there something that you're waiting for, some event that you're waiting for, or maybe even a price event? $15, you're up big time on that. Congrats holding that. Stay focused, saying pending home sales are coming up. We can always check that to see if we get those. I don't have that data yet. I think that's at 9, right? Or 10, excuse me. I think that should be coming here in a minute. We'll check in on that one.
Wow, Marie said she's been holding ATVI since it was $15 a share.
Unreal. Oh my God, CXAI repeat. Oh, where's Andy when we need him? CXAI. This actually, I'm sorry I'm so late to this. Should have called this one earlier. Nice move through VWAP, accompanied by a nice move through the 938 level, currently at 1150. Great expanding volume. Look at this. This is exactly what we want to see for potential day trades. Back up to one of the support levels from the previous day. Let's see if we can actually get some more here. CXAI moving here today. Great move. Great move. Adam's still weak. I don't know about that one today. UCAR popping through the VWAP here. Nice little volume pop as well.
All right, Ryan, give me 2 minutes. I'm just going to run to the men's room real quick, and I'll be right back.
Totally get it. Okay, so I don't have the pending home sales here yet. You guys have the data, it looks like. I normally watch the news desk channel for that. Home sales minus 5.2%. Expected was at 8%. Or is that point? Oh, expected 5%, I think Walter's saying. Here we go. Pending home sales minus 5.2% versus a 0.5% estimate. So home sales coming in a little weak. I might be able to give you an update on that tomorrow. We actually have a real estate professional in the happy hour that updates us whenever we get some of these prints or get earnings from some of the home builders and home or real estate related companies. So I'll see if I can get you an update tomorrow. To me, with interest rates where they are, I'm actually not surprised to see this, although this is the season for moving. This is where you're going to get a lot of new home sales. Let's look at the list here. EVLO, the penny still making that run to 32. CFRX still holding in here. Maybe if we reclaim VWAP, that could be a potential long here, especially if that's accompanied with a volume pop. CXAI still holding its momentum. Tesla holding that pop up. Cat is doing something he probably shouldn't be. Ryan, my sarcasm is hilarious. Hey, man, I like to make people smile. I can't help it. If you're smiling, then I've done my job. Top, big move here. This is halted too, isn't it? On top. So that top financial, that Hong Kong play. Teladoc reported earnings yesterday. That's actually holding its gains too. Okay, that's this actually, you know, if we take a look at the daily chart here, what was the price action? Okay, so we might have officially bottomed here on Teladoc. We've had a couple of earnings here in this sideways channel. Really looks like a pretty decent triple bottom here on Teladoc. Maybe this is a spot for a potential long. I'm not into this one, but this price action here, especially after the mixed results, not bad, not bad, kind of encouraging here. Take a look at Hills. This is still under the VWAP. Yeah, Silver Fox, TDOC was a Kathy play. I don't follow Kathy's holding changes as much as I should, or maybe as much as I used to even. I don't know if she still holds this, if she's reduced the size of her position or anything like that. That might be something to look at. CFRX breaking down now here. Yikes. Meta still holding up. Tell you what, the 9 EMA gap and go, this didn't really work today. So let's re-examine this. We talked a little bit about this at the outset. What you want to see with a gap and go is a move higher after the pre-market. We're not getting that here on Meta. We're getting a lot of back and forth. And I'll say this, back and forth movement on a gap and go trade is an absolute killer, because it basically, if you want to stay in the trade, it keeps enticing you, but it doesn't really give you the movement that you want. If you're actually really sticking tight to the 9 EMA, you're being flipped out of this back and forth here. So gap and go did not work here on Meta. Let's see if it actually holds. FRC is open, moving higher here on FRC. Looking at the level 2 here, they are bringing in some stock to sell, but every time they do it, it just gets hit a little bit here at 270. We'll see if that gets taken out. Looks like it's backing off 270 a little bit. Now it's not knifing back, so that's really encouraging to see. The more when you have stocks that pop like this and give you this really, really vertical flagpole formation, if you get trading like okay, so there was a pretty good knife. Let me actually turn the 9 EMA off so we can see the VWAP. That was a pretty good knife. When you get that consolidation, that's actually a really, really good sign. That's telling you that it's still trying to discover the price in the new range. And if you get that back and forth a little and it ends up holding, that increases the odds that you can pop to the upside. Now, FRC pulled back here. We'll see if we can end up gearing up here. Volume still looks pretty good. Really don't want that to dry up. Here we are. It looks like we're trying to pop and move higher. Guys are talking about SAI too. That was a big play from yesterday. Okay, so this is actually pretty good. So SAI, first move here was down, but we bounced and held. We've actually reclaimed the VWAP. Let's see if we can actually move up towards 4 here on SAI. Through the list here, I see a couple of other stocks we've talked about. EQT, a couple of people have talked about that as kind of a longer term hold. Sabre, this has been another one that we've actually traded as a kind of a small cap. Nice little move here. Would like to see the volume a little bit higher, but still a decent move here today. Valet looking decent. How are we doing on Bitcoin? Bitcoin still did okay. It's holding the 29K level, so we did cross above it, but nothing really huge here. Mara bouncing off that 934 lower channel that we've had outlined for days, it seems like. Let me see what else is in here. I know eBay reported yesterday. Here's EOSE. This is Knowles EOSE down back through 2 here, but doing a decent job holding up. If you're in for that long side play, maybe a little add here on the weakness.
Sorry, guy. I'm looking at a different type of trade right now. I'm looking at some draft specials, for the NFL. So I think the first pick is pretty much decided. It's going to be Bryce Young. It looks like in Vegas he's minus 2,000 right now. But the second overall pick, gets a little more interesting. Will Anderson minus 250, CJ Stroud plus 225. Do you have any guesses as to the Texans will take number 2 overall, Ryan?
Yeah, I do. I think they go line. Well, that's about as specific as you're going to get from me. I think they go line, offensive line or defensive line. Here's what I think the Texans are doing. They just gave DeMeco Ryans, a defensive coach, a 6-year contract. He's got some room to spread his wings out. If I'm DeMeco Ryans and I realize how many holes my team has, I'm thinking, why not go after one of the really, really premium quarterbacks next year? You're going to have Caleb Williams and Drake May coming out next year. They're better than any of the prospects in this year's draft. Go ahead and get your edge rusher. Go ahead and start building your line with one of those big hogs up front so you can protect your quarterback, and then try to get your quarterback next year. You're probably not going to be good, so you're probably going to have a high pick. could always try and move up to get one of those quarterbacks. That would be my guess. I bet they don't go quarterback here. Maybe it's just a smokescreen, though. We'll see.
So you thinking no, they're not taking quarterback? Because I actually think like, I feel like so I put a bet out there a while ago that Anthony Richardson, the quarterback from Florida, was going to be the first overall pick, and that does not look good right now. It doesn't look like that really has a shot. But I'd almost be surprised if he's not the second quarterback take. Oh, we're looking at EOSE. Who typed that one in there?
Yeah, so EOSE appeared on the relative volume scanner, but Aaron, just to give you a little bit of context, we actually have a gentleman, Noel Vick, right here in the chat. Gave us a long-term thesis on this. Noel, I apologize. I cannot remember all of the stats that you gave us and all of the thesis that you brought up, but you were watching this and you called some pretty good pops in this name already. So as soon as I noticed it, I related to Noel, big EOSE fan here.
Wait, can you, Noel, do you mind throwing in some of that stuff in the chat real quick? Just because I have another buddy who's deep in the EOS train and who's been singing me the EOS praises for months and months and months, saying this is going to be the next best clean energy. I actually own shares of this company, by the way, and I don't even know. So, Noel, let me know from your point of view, what you love about this stock and what maybe I'm missing about it or why so many other people love it.
Zinc battery storage and microgrids is what he said. By the way, FRC downside halt. Aaron, you mind if I run to the men's room real quick?
Of course, man. I'd be a real curmudgeon if I said no. Zinc battery storage, microgrids. Yeah, it sounds kind of like CLSK, Clean Spark, and that didn't work out well for my portfolio. No, I mean, so here's the thing: is you'll hear a lot of people tell you, like, oh, this stock is great, this stock is great. I'm a sucker. If it's in the clean energy space and you try to make a good argument that this is going to be a great clean energy company, I'm all about it because, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, you have all the major energy oil companies already, right? And a lot of those companies I actually think will be, if not leaders, they'll definitely be like, productive players in the clean energy space. But there's got to be some of these smaller ones that will be, really take, like even opportunity to invest in an Exxon as like oil was first starting to get big. So of course I'm going to be looking at some of these clean energy names, but I just have no, I don't have any, power source can be, okay. Let's check in on some other stocks. So Pac West trading a little bit lower today, down about 2%. Let's check back in on Meta. Meta still, I mean, let's go to a 5-minute chart here on Meta. Meta basically at your highs a day. I mean, not too far off there. FRC, wow, look at FRC go up 11%. I'm telling you, I don't know when. I mean, not FRC, but I've been saying that I think some of these other regional banks are just buys. I sound like Kramer, buy. But like Cullen Frost Bankers, like this one, I looked into the balance sheet, very strong. Western Alliance Bank, another one that's been absolutely hammered that I think is actually relatively strong. Pac West, if you looked at their earnings report, they're basically like, yeah, it's business as usual. Things are going good. Was there some fear out there after? All right, wait, I got corrected on my pronunciation of this in the chat. I'm gonna try to say this right. So it's Silicon, not Silicon. Silicon Valley. After the Silicon Valley bank collapse, of course there was some fear or whatever, but Pac West was basically like, no, we're still doing well. So like I think some of these regional banks, again, not necessarily maybe FRC, which is getting a huge pop today, just because it seems like out of the different regional banks that have been getting beaten up, this is the one that is the most at risk of actually fully collapsing, being delisted, all this stuff. So maybe that's not the one I would take the stab on. But some of these other regional banks that are still trading down 60, 70%, I think are not only good opportunities to maybe swing trade, maybe try to squeeze some percentage out there. But the other aspect that you guys have to realize is all of these stocks pay a really good dividend, right? You're talking 5, 6, 7% most of the time on these regional banks. So I have, I'll be honest with you guys, a lot of my money, like thousands, like I don't have that much money saved up, but a lot of it that I do have saved up is in these. So relative to me, I have a lot of my money in like between CFR, Stiefel, which is ticker SF. This is actually a St. Louis. It's not just a St. Louis bank, but it's a big bank that's Well, Stiefel's interesting because they're actually like an investment bank.
Stiefel has a wealth management division, and I actually don't have any Stiefel accounts, but I've heard nothing but good things about Stiefel.
Well, yeah, and I was gonna say Stiefel's a little bit different than some of these other like smaller regional banks, and I think they actually do more in terms of like wealth management, investment banking, all this stuff. Like they kind of, honestly, I don't know. I think Stiefel has like two sides of what they do, but yeah. So between Stiefel, Cullen Frost Bankers, which is a regional bank based down in Texas that does a lot of business, I think, with a lot of like oil with a lot of like energy companies that are located down in Texas. So they kind of have like a niche down there in Texas. And then Pac West, of course. So between those three banks, I have like a decent amount of money invested. And like, the thing is if they go down a little bit, I'm like, okay, well, at least I know I'm going to get the good dividends out of them. But I really think they're going to come up from here still too. And again, just knock on wood, that's just my personal opinion, not investment advice.
All right, looking around here at the Twitter streets, don't really see anything of note here. CXAI, pretty much the biggest thing. CFRX really kind of breaking down. Let me just go ahead and throw that up here. CFRX really kind of breaking down. See if this ends up firming anywhere. We're kind of in no man's land right now. Would like to see this come into 226. CXAI, we saw a run earlier. Got rejected at 12. Nice little knife here. Move back to the VWAP would actually be pretty good for trading. This is actually something that Andy took earlier this week when it moved back towards the VWAP. So we'll see if that can end up get going here as well. FRC open, moving back towards the highs. Ron mentioning NEM. Let's take a look at that. Newmont, another big bounce here. And a move through the VWAP. A nice spot there, Ron, as always. Still don't see anything crazy in the unusual options. Even some of these bigger prints, they're just cheapies. Hills consolidating here. This, for a potential trade, a volume expansion and a move through the VWAP, and I think that you can target this 120. Let's actually adjust this. I think you can target this 126 level. So Hills potential setup here, but it really needs to move through VWAP and it needs more volume. If we get that, potential long here on Hills, HILS. CXAI holding this move down here. Let's see if it can curl and attack 12 again, currently at 1143. There was eBay on there for a second. They reported earnings and they're up today. Let's see how well they did. Okay. So came back in towards the VWAP. A little bit of a move up yesterday. We'll see if we can end up clearing that out.
The Crow saying AB, just because it's on the ground doesn't mean you should pick it up. No, that's like, I 100% agree. I don't try to catch falling knives really at all. The regional banks thing I think is specific because like you have to understand, right? So you had, again, I'm going to try to say this right. So earlier I was saying Silicon Valley. It's Silicon Valley. Earlier, when you had Silicon Valley Bank collapse, right? You had, it brought down the whole financial sector, all banks, even your big ones, even Bank of America and Wells Fargo and JP Morgan, even though a lot of people were saying, hey, these names might actually benefit from this because people are going to be scared about smaller banks and move to bigger banks. Either way, you had the whole industry essentially get taken down with this. And some of these regional banking names, when you're looking at Western Alliance, etc., were down like 50, 60+%. And I get it, right? That like a lot of these banks, not just Silicon Valley Bank, were buying treasuries and then the interest rates went up and the treasuries became worth a lot less. So it created like a hole in their balance sheet. But most of them hedge against that. And the bottom line is that if you have something that's down 60, 70%, for an issue that's not really affecting that company, right? It's something else. It's outside. That's kind of like a special circumstance, right? It'd be like if, Apple has some problem because of a lawsuit, and the next thing you know, Microsoft is trading down 30%, and you're like, well, hold on, what the hell does this have to do with Microsoft, right? And then so I think a lot of these stocks are now trading below their fair value in terms of the regional banks, and I'm willing to take make a bet on that. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're buying stocks, you're investing in a risk, in an inherently like speculative asset. There's risk involved, so I'm willing to take that risk on something that is, in my opinion, trading well below book value on a lot of these regional banks.
Waiting for CFRX to maybe make a move through 250 here. Buru still holding its pop. I know a couple of people are trading Buru here. That's a fun ticker to say. I can't help myself. Maybe Buru. It's like I just said Buru.
Buru.
It's funny.
I like that. Buru.
You know it's a good day if Silver Fox is out here quoting TLC, push it. I mean, Tesla is moving to the highs here, though. That's actually a really good call. Maybe it was off the backs of those call buys.
Who bought the calls?
Silver Fox was taking Tesla earlier, prior to this recent move up. Seeing some Amazon puts coming here, nothing terribly notable. Just mentioning since they report earnings later today. VIX getting melted here, back to a 1740 handle on the VIX. Oh, Aaron, I'm just counting down the hours until the draft, my man.
What else? Who else reported yesterday afternoon besides Meta?
Here, let me go ahead and pull up the graphic. The big ones were going to be Meta, Roku, and Teladoc. Honorable mention to Align, ServiceNow, United Rentals, KLA, and Pioneer. So Roku and Meta, I think, are going to be your biggest. Aaron, we got a question about Teladoc when you went to the washroom. Do you know what Kathy's position in Teladoc is at the moment?
What do you mean? How many shares she has?
Well, basically, and maybe not the exact number of shares. I know she was a big Teladoc holder. Do you know if she reduced her position at all while it was getting crushed? Took a loss on it at all? I can't remember if that was one she was in and out of.
Let's see. So I've got a cool little website, called Kathy's Arc that shows you.
These are the insiders.
All right, so let's see. So this website here, let me share my screen real quick, Ryan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Shows all 27. Okay, so you can go through by fund. So the different ARK funds up here, right? ARKK. So we'll just do combined. So we'll do all the funds combined. These are her holdings. Tesla, and this is in order of market value. So she owns about more than 800 million shares of Tesla. Let's just find Teladoc on here. Yeah, so Teladoc is still her 9th biggest position, holds more than 400 million.
Okay.
It says her cost average is 148 to 172. What's it trading at now? 25?
7.
That's not good. So she was buying it at, in between 148 and 172. So I don't know. Maybe she sold some of it, but based off this, she still owns a bunch of it. Look, more than 11% of the company. So she's crossed that threshold to being like one of those, 10+% owners. So she should actually be showing up in those insider trades. And then still owns more than 400 million. And owns a bunch of this. 4% of her entire fund is still in Teladoc. As you can see, that's up there with Square, Shopify, DraftKings, CRISPR, Roblox, Roku. So, yeah, I mean, Kathy, how's Roku doing today? Good?
Yeah, Roku is doing good. That was up on earnings yesterday. We're up 2.25% here on Roku. The interesting thing about Roku, AB, was that it actually popped and went as high as 62 in the after hours yesterday. Bled back a lot of the gains, but as soon as the market opened today, buyers stepped in. So it looks like they're taking that dip.
Yeah, I mean, Roku's been it was a monster during COVID. And then obviously the charts I actually really like looking at the Roku's chart because it's so like symmetrical. And let me pop your screen back up. We don't need to be looking at this anymore.
Yeah, pop it up. Visual aid. Let's do it. So here's your Roku intraday chart. Here is your daily chart. This is the pin action, the back and forth that you're talking about.
No, I'm saying further back, like all the
Oh, I'm
way,
sorry.
like aim out. Like it's so symmetrical, that double top. Like it just looks like like you don't see.
Actually, yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that.
It's like a textbook, double top. Like you don't find typically that they're like that symmetrical. But yeah, this one was. Top still strong. All right, people in the chat, let us know what y'all are watching.
CFRX getting a little bit of a curl here. Let's see if we reclaim the VWAP. Volume doesn't have the pop that we want to see in order to flip this to the long side. Let's check in on Meta. How's Meta doing? Okay, Meta's still in that consolidation area. Really can't break above 240. CXAI backed off that 12 pretty substantially. We're actually below the VWAP here on CXAI as well. Adam, what a disappointment Adam was.
Who?
Not Adam, ATOM, the ticker of the stock, not anybody named Adam.
Oh, I was gonna say that's kind of rude.
Yeah, I didn't want to be rude there. Ooh, big pop here. So this is that Chinese financial institution here. Big move here. Are we halted? Yeah, we sure are halted at 1175 here. Upside halt. We've had a bunch of halts here on top.
What are you thinking about just the overall market here, Ryan? Like taking a look at SPY, we're getting a little bounce right now, up a little bit less than a full percentage point today. Trading above that 408 level for the time being. I mean, it's been a pretty good week for bears. Although if you're like short the market right now, you're probably kind of like, what the hell? Like, even though it feels like we've been down all week, when you actually look at the chart, it's like, okay, we're not really down that much. Carmen's watching GFAI.
Yeah, that moved here through 1553. Has the next resistance spot at 1688 on GFAI. See if we can end up getting there. Buru still at highs. Nice job. Who was that? Smoke Tuna, were you on Buru here today? It was a nice job sticking in that if you were able to do that. Morning, Captain Kirk. Hopefully you're doing well today. UCAR breaking a level. Let's check in on UCAR.
Oh, Microsoft having a strong day again. Yeah, that's interesting to see the semis kind of selling off a little bit. The Nvidia down about a little bit less than a full percentage point on a day where overall tech seems to be doing pretty well. Your Qs are still, very much in the green, up about 1.5%. Obviously, led by strength in Meta, Microsoft. Apple is also up about 1.5% today. So yeah, interesting to see the semis trading down. I know we were looking at SOXS earlier, right, Ryan?
Yep, and SOXL in conjunction with one another. Go ahead and pull that up here. SOXS came back to its VWAP. Remember what we said, right? Remember what we said. When these ETFs, especially the levered ones, get further away from their VWAP, you can almost expect a regression back to the mean. We got that here on SOXS. Let's take a look at the SOXL chart. Pretty much the same thing, right? VWAP came down with SOXL here, but as we got extended from it, we came right back to it. Only about 30 cents of movement there, but still followed the pattern that we were looking for. Lucid having a good day. Let's see if Lucid takes the top off here, 772, get back to an 8 handle. Let's see, really great here.
That's one I haven't looked at actually at all. How's Rivian doing today? Oh, Rivian's having a decent day.
Checking on Rivian. All of the electric car makers. Is XPEV doing the same thing? Are the Chinese EVs? Yep, XPEV higher. Let's check NIO. NIO not really participating like some of the other names.
What about BYDDF? Oh, yeah, that one's having a good day.
UPS, man. So UPS, they reported earnings really, really poor. People use UPS to kind of monitor the state of the economy. We had Jay Rice talking to us about the transports the other day when this really kind of came in, really kind of saying the same thing. UPS not able to bounce here. Would like to see this be able to bounce, kind of get bullish on the market, but not yet. Doesn't look like that's happening yet.
Yeah, that's pretty disappointing. I mean, that's pretty kind of like worrisome for the overall market for sure when you see FedEx and UPS
Yes.
not have great earnings.
Roku, you still having a strong day here. Big knife and CFRX. That might be done for the day, folks, in CFRX. Top with the really crazy move. CFRX was early. It was that move early, but really kind of broke down. This top move, this is nuts. We're already almost at 100% here, up 92.4% here on top. We'll watch this to reopen. Meta calls and puts. Those aren't big enough to be notable. Did have a $500,000 Meta put sweep here. This actually, let's see, these were the 235s. I bet that was a short cover. Yikes. American Airlines kind of giving up its early gains. What do we have here? Caterpillar. Let's check in on Caterpillar after we got shaken from that swing trade. Caterpillar down at 207. Wow. Okay. So the point of the swing trade that I was in earlier that I got flushed out on would definitely not have held it through earnings, but man, we really didn't get the follow through that we were looking at. Cat rolling over here into a gap too on Cat. Gap filled down to 198 here. It's actually a decent potential short on Cat. UCAR battling at that 6 handle. And I'm still not doing much of anything. Hey, stay focused. Appreciate the kind words. Hey, if you're golfing today, you are winning the day. Good luck, man. Go low.
Yeah, man, that's I'm jealous. It's
So am
still
I.
not really warm enough to be golfing up here in Michigan yet, but we're getting there. A couple more
When I
weeks
woke
probably.
up this morning, I looked at the temperature and it was 38. And I was like, oh, I don't know about this weekend. Looking at the temperature now, we're at 49. I'll tell you what, AB, if I had an opportunity, 50 degrees, throw on some long pants and a golf sweater, I'm good to go.
Hell yeah.
Too bad
Yeah, I'm
you're not
more
gonna
of
be
a
joining
I'm
us
more of
next
a
weekend.
I like to wait till I would say it's 65 plus and then I'm out there.
Next Saturday, you're going to be looking at about 60. You're busy though, right? You're not able to.
Yeah, I'll actually be next Saturday. I will not be in town when you come up.
Bummer. Drew Paul asking, Ryan, what kind of clubs do you have? I use a TaylorMade driver. I use the M4 TaylorMade driver and wood, and I have a TaylorMade Stealth Hybrid. My irons are the Callaway Maverick set, which I like, but I think I'm going to upgrade to the TaylorMade Stealth iron set later this year. Yeah, it's kind of a hodgepodge. I do have the K-Sig putter, though. So the Costco putter, I will say it's awesome. It does feel like a Scotty Cameron, nice little milled face there. Highly recommend the Costco putter, K-Sig. Top still going, Crow? Oh, my God. Look at this. Opened, halted up at 1492. What a monster move. You know, at some point, after I might try taking stabs at some of these really aggressive plays. I want to wait until I really have a nice big trade. The next home run I get, maybe I'll dive into this a little bit more. I'm so nervous about these. I've never really traded these well, but when you look at a stock that's really gone from what, $7 to $4, we're up 122% here on top. FOMO is kicking in, man. FOMO is kicking in.
Yeah, I think one thing with that, Ryan, is that like when you are buying a stock that's say up 50, 60, 70% already on the day, like you certainly have that like it has that potential to even double from there, keep running, whatever. But I would certainly look at it as more of like a speculative bet as opposed to an investment, right? Because if a stock's up 50-60% in a day, it's essentially just as likely to have a big sell off, come back
Yep.
down as it is to keep running.
Yep.
The difference is I think if you're buying a stock that's up 50-60% on the day, it probably's got a better chance to go up another 50-60% than just a random stock that's flat on the day, but it's also got a bigger chance than that random stock that's flat on the day to have a big sell-off. So you're basically in store for a big move one way or the other.
The Crow saying, Ryan, the Crow thinks top trade is below VWAP bounce. So you mean your entry was below this VWAP, or you took it off of this pull back to VWAP? God, what a trade that is. You nailed this VWAP down here at, let's call it 720 or 730, be a little bit more on the conservative side. You're at a double. You already doubled from that trade. So Crow, if this was your entry, man, good stuff. Real good stuff.
I see MD talking about BABA at 83.40, the 200-day moving average. I haven't looked at BABA in a while, although at $83, that's kind of a price point that I would be interested in BABA at. Recall that when this got down to, what was it, like 70 or 65 bucks, we had a big rally up to like 120. And I think BABA is one of those stocks that when it does start getting a little bit more bullish trading activity, is one that can move quickly up to that like 100, 120 level.
Yeah, good point on BABA here. The trade down to the 60 handle, Aaron, it was, let's see, that was the lows were on October of 2022. It was a double by January of the next year. So one quarter, and you got a 60-point move in BABA. The last time that we traded down, we actually found support around the $80 level. That traded back up to 105. So again, $25 move right there. Just BABA does move. I can't predict this though. I don't trust Chinese stocks. I can't really predict BABA. It's really stopped me from trading it. Crow's looking on top here. Awesome stuff, Crow, given the plan ahead of time. This is the stuff that the group can really, really benefit from. First of all, we can watch the strategy play out live by knowing what the strategy is ahead of time. And also, we can see if something goes wrong, what went wrong, and how you would adjust or protect yourself with that strategy. Hats off to you for doing this. You're thinking the next trade might be another below VWAP, maybe even about 8. So Crow thinking this might come back in here below 8 and give us another opportunity. That would be something. Let me tell you something. That would be something. Still don't see the option activity has really kind of been dry today. I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm just just looking for something else in here. CFRX, maybe we're finally curling here off the 226. Maybe. Yeah, third person Crow is pretty good. Marvel, no, I'm not seeing. Don't see a lot of new stuff on here. Buru still holding the highs. Was that Smoke Tuna that was on Buru? Yep. Smoke Tuna continuing to move higher. You caught yourself a winner, man. How's Google doing? I've seen Google 100 calls getting bought here. Google having a nice day. RC still in that 630 area. NASDAQ at highs, SPY at highs, Dow at highs. Market looking strong here early. Electric vehicles are overpriced Power Wheels. Oh, that's funny. I remember Power Wheels. I wanted one of those so badly when I was a little kid. There was a neighbor down the street that had the Power Wheels Jeep. Thought that was the coolest thing I had ever seen. Never ended up getting my Power Wheels, but that's okay because I ended up getting into
Oh,
college.
when you said I always wanted a Power Wheels, I thought you were talking about a Hot Wheels, and I was like, what do you mean? You never got a Hot Wheel like
Oh,
that?
dude, I
Like,
had so many Hot Wheels. You know how many times I've stepped on a Hot Wheels car and slipped because of it? I mean, it's not quite as bad as stepping on a Lego, but it can be dangerous. Micro Machines had those too, just like Kevin from Home Alone.
100%.
I'll tell you what, though, getting into regular car, when I was 16, I was forced to drive a station wagon, one of those old Woody wagons, or a minivan. So I was not the most popular guy at my high school. But once I ended up getting my Mustang and I started building cars up, that was fun. That was fun. My 12-second Trans Am, oh man, I missed that car. Man, I missed that car. There will be another time, though.
But you don't miss the minivan at all?
No, I don't miss the minivan at all, bro. Will never own one of those as long as I live. Or the Woody wagon, for that matter. Okay, Ryan asking a pretty good question here. So, hey, Ryan, if you have a minute between updates, can you explain how you set up your target price points? Okay, Ryan, this is a great question. It's multifaceted, however. First of all, it depends on the type of trade. And that is going to be paramount and overarching. There's really nothing that I stray from on that. I'll give you an example in a couple of different trades. For number one, my largest and longest investment is Apple. Split adjusted, I think my price is like $21 at this point. I have no target for that. The only thing that would cause me to get out of that would be if Apple somehow changed the way it did its business or something fundamentally changed at the company. I'm still a believer that Apple is the strongest stock in any market anywhere. And as a result, I'm going to hold. I have no price target. I have another investment, probably my second largest investment at this point is Portillo's. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Portillo's, I'd like at least a 5-bagger on that. So my average is 17. I'd be targeting 100. A lot has to do with a multi-year 600 store expansion and whether or not that's going to work. So that I determine my price based on what I think the fundamental situation it can be. If Portillo's expands successfully with 600 stores, I see that stock being 4 or 5 times the price that it is now. So that's about how I got to 100. I settled on 100 because it's a nice, really round number. For trades, for these shorter intraday trades that we're talking about all of the time, I outline my price target based on support and resistance. So let's take CFRX for a minute here. Once the market opened, we had 273 marked off. 298, I believe, was a line from a previous session. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to capture the movement between these levels. Again, I know going into this, it's a day trade. I know going into this, it's going to be smaller. I have no idea what stocks are going to run. So I try to capture the movement that is predictable. When it comes to day trades, a lot of that movement is much, much smaller. It is impossible, at least I haven't figured out how to predict a small cap stock that's going to go from 2 to 10. So when it comes to price targets like that, I generally don't have those. For these day trades and scalps, depending on the price of the stock, if it's $1, $2, what have you, I'm basically looking at 10 or 15 cents. If I can get trades that are 10 or 15 cents and I can get a couple of them over and over and over again, it's like hitting singles, right? You can get on base, maybe someone drives you in. There's a lot of different way to kind of capture that gain. And a lot of that has to do with risk management. When it comes to swings, a lot of the times what I'll do is it would be very similar to what Mitch does. I'll take a look at the 15-minute, hourly, daily, weekly, and maybe even monthly, and I'll see if there's an arc or a trajectory that we can kind of capture. Let's take CFRX as a hypothetical example. I'm not long the stock. I have no intention of buying the stock. If I thought that CFRX would be a decent swing trade because we're able to take this formation out right here, I would look for a couple of levels above. So I'd be looking at maybe right in here because I'd want that multi-day move to really kind of clear out some of these gaps. So if we take this 299, let's just call it 3 for the sake of ease, I would say that my price target on a swing trade would be 5, right? So not quite a double, but I'm deducing those numbers from what I see in the chart. I'm not just coming up with random numbers. I'm looking at the chart and I'm saying, what's possible if this stock continues the movement that it has? With options, it's totally different. If I take an option contract and that contract goes up 100%, I don't care what it is or what the plan is, I'm taking some of it off. If I buy two contracts and the contracts go up 100%, I'm peeling one of them off. That last contract there is free, and it allows me to hold that stock in case that momentum keeps going. However, when trading options, I'll still take a look at where the stock has support and resistance levels from the daily, weekly, and monthly chart, and even the 15-minute too. So it really depends on the type of trade, Ryan, but a lot of the things that I'm doing here is I'm looking at the chart. If I'm not looking at the chart, if I'm not coming up with a price from the chart, it's because this is a longer-term trade that's more centered around fundamentals of the company. Let me know if that answers your question. Jerry Springer passed away?
Yeah, I was just looking into that. Looks like
Wow.
that just happened.
Wow. Did you ever watch Jerry Springer when you were a kid? I never got into it.
No, only when I was no, like only if it was I was like home from school or something and it was on TV, but I think I was more of a Maury. I'd watch Maury.
Maury
More.
Povich. Yeah, I was a Price is Right guy. When I stayed home from school, AB, the show I could not wait to be on was Price is Right. I'd lay in my bed, not feeling good, watching the Price is Right. Somehow it made me happy.
There you
And then,
go.
of course, Bob Barker made a cameo in Happy Gilmore, and I absolutely loved that.
What was yeah, there were some classic, like I feel like there were just some classic shows that were always playing reruns that like you could find on a day where you were
I mean,
home from
Seinfeld.
school.
I still watch Seinfelds now when I see reruns, especially if they're good ones. Crow saying, keep CDIO on your radar. So I don't see anything on the intraday chart, but if you take a look at the daily chart here, you can see CDIO, this was a huge mover. If we base here and kind of curl, you got a lot of the levels already lined up. A lot of those levels already lined up. AB, what do you got on deck for after live trading here today? Why don't you tell the group?
Yeah, so at 11, we are, sorry, at 11:30, we're going to transition over to Benzinga Live. We've got my man Stephen Hode, the stop hunter, joining us from England, from Europe. So he is our kind of resident. You know, he not only will be able to fill us in what's going on in the European markets, but also was an energy trader for Koch Industries for many, many years. So, you know, if you know the Charles Koch billionaire, and I forget his brother's name, but Stephen Hode was an energies trader for them. So he can also speak to what's going on in the energy markets with oil. So we're going to be talking to him at 11:30. And then after that, at around noon, we'll bring on my man Robert Roy, who will be taking us through some of his option trades. Robert Roy uses a lot of Fibonacci levels and has kind of a unique technical analysis approach. So always exciting to talk to Mr. Rob Roy as well.
I gotta say, I love that name too. Rob Roy is one of my favorite drinks. Manhattan made with scotch instead of bourbon. Just absolutely fantastic drink, and he's got a cool name.
There's a drink called a Rob Roy?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know that.
It's a Scotch Manhattan.
I don't like scotch.
That's I'm sorry for your loss. More scotch for me.
I'm 25. Is it something that like I might learn to like as I get older? If I don't like it now, I probably won't like it, huh?
Let me ask you a question. Do you like bourbon?
I mean, I don't mind whiskey. I mean, bourbon is whiskey, right? It's just whiskey that's made in Kentucky, right?
Yep. I would expand that. Do you like whiskey?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I don't drink like a glass of, you know, straight. There's literally no liquor that I like or enjoy drinking just straight.
Oh, okay. That's helpful context. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but that's really helpful context. If you do not like drinking any liquor straight, the odds of you liking scotch are pretty low. What I will say is that the more that you drink, the more you start to realize some of the hidden flavors, if you will. Obviously, especially with whiskey, since they age it in a new oak barrel, there's all these different types of flavors. I think there's like 6 different vanilla flavors that the alcohol extracts from the wood. Now, scotch uses oak barrels that have already been used for whiskey. So you get a lighter color, you get kind of a lighter feel, and you get some of these other flavors are really, really pronounced. Flavors like peat, which is kind of an earthy flavor. So if you're not into that stuff, maybe not. But what I will say is that a Scotch palate absolutely evolves over time. So the older you get, it might be worth just taking a little sip, see if you like it. There's a pretty big variety, and I think that you might be able to find one that you do enjoy.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, maybe I gotta try. I just feel bad anytime like someone gives me a glass of some fancy like liquor. It's usually like some fancy type of bourbon or whiskey or something. Sometimes a scotch, and I'll literally just be like in my head like I have to finish this because I'm gonna be like nice and do it, and I know it's like they enjoy this, but I never enjoy it. So I don't know. I wish I did, or maybe I'm lucky that I don't. I guess I don't really know. But I'll keep you in the loop, Ryan, because I do think over time maybe I'll grow to start liking some hard liquor, drinking some. Do you drink it neat or on the rocks?
I drink it neat with a droplet or two of water, which kind of opens it up a little bit in the glass.
Oh yeah. So I used to wait tables, so I know kind of a lot how people tend to like these things. But
I used to wait tables too, AB. I worked at a number of different restaurants, including a country club. And I'll say this little pro tip for you, for some of you younger just getting into the workforce. Waiting tables is going to be very, very good for your development. It's going to teach you how to interact with people. You're going to see the good side of people, the people that really treat you well and politely. And you're going to see the bad side of people, the people that are rude to wait staff. It has had a profound impact on my life for both working hard and treating people the way that they want to be treated. View here is that if you can work at a pretty nice place, there are often opportunities for you to try some of these things for free. And I'll be honest, some of the best wines that I tried early in my wine drinking life were because I worked for a place that wanted you to at least be able to talk to the clients about what flavors you were tasting. So they give you a little bit in a glass, $30-$40 bottle of wine, just so you could kind of get a palate developed. That's really where it started for me. So I'm very thankful for my table waiting history in the past. To me, I really think it helped solidify my work ethic. And there were some bonuses, like being able to try some cool booze.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Definitely a very 100%. Even something with like sales, like you get sales experience because you're trying to like upsell tables and everything. And I mean, maybe not necessarily like all the time, but just like you said, Ryan, being able to interact with people, you get a whole host of different skills from being able to do that. So could not recommend it enough.
Yeah,
I agree
definitely.
on all accounts.
Jan in the chat says, to hear this, Ryan, opens my heart. Seriously, I'm working as a waiter now for 15 years, and it's a so good experience. That's absolutely true. And let me tell you something else. If you work at like a high-end restaurant, you can actually make really good money waiting tables, especially if the clientele there are really good tippers. My thought was people are going to tip what they can afford to tip. So the best thing that I can do is do the best possible job. When I go out to a restaurant, I like to enjoy my evening. I'm paying for the experience. When you're on the other side of that equation, you can really, really help make that experience great. If someone drops a fork, don't wait for them to ask for a new fork. Go get them one. Little things like that go a long way. People remember that stuff. And it's actually really good for the company you work for, too. Marie saying, once you puke Jack, you'll never go back. Oh, been there.
But you went back, it sounds like.
I don't drink Jack. It's not my favorite. I'm a Maker's Mark guy when it comes to bourbon. I like trying other kind of small batch bourbons. Jefferson Ocean, big shout out to that whiskey. Aged at sea in barrels, really, really awesome flavor. But yeah, Jack's not my favorite. That was a college drink, so I'll just leave it at that.
I like my drink of choice has been Jameson Ginger Ale for a few years now, and that's been actually catching on. I've seen a lot more people order that at the bars over the past year or so. But I started it. I didn't start it, but I've been ordering it for a few years now, and now all of a sudden it's become like the hottest drink.
You're never going to get a complaint from me out of Jameson. Being half Irish and born on St. Patrick's Day, Jameson courses through my veins on a regular basis. So you're preaching to the choir there, my man. And as far as ginger ale goes, I quit soda because sugary drinks are one of the best ways to kind of improve your health, and just very, very easy to cut out, especially if you like iced tea, by the way. So ginger ale is the one soda I will still make an exception for. If I get on an airplane, I will often order whiskey and ginger ale, and a lot of times that whiskey's Jack.
Well, okay, so but do you still do that on the airplanes or not anymore since you've cut out?
Yeah. I still do it on the airplanes occasionally. When I fly into Detroit for work, I obviously don't drink prior to that. That would be a poor decision. But when I'm going on vacation, man, when I get on that airplane, that's when my vacation starts. And I get the earbuds in there. I get the drink going. It's a good time. It's a good time.
AT
Not
says
Greek
that's
is
his
excellent,
go-to
by the
as
way.
well.
Say again?
AT said Jameson ginger ale is his go-to as well. Or Jack and ginger, same thing. I don't know. There's a lot of good. I still, I mean, like, yeah, either like Jack and Coke. I mean, I will say, I mean, like cutting out sugary drinks 100%, Ryan. For me, I don't know what it is. I drink like probably like a Coke a day, and it's just like my one. It's probably like the most. Well, I don't know. Besides vaping, it's probably the most unhealthy thing I do.
Yeah, I would say for me, the soda thing was more of a weight loss thing. That was an easy way for me to peel off calories and still be able to enjoy foods that I really, really like pizza, which is not the healthiest food in the world.
Right.
But I absolutely love it. There's no way I'm going to give it up. So by giving up things that really provided no nutritional value, I was able to supplement it with things that do provide nutritional value. The best thing for me from giving up soda is I discovered hibiscus flavored teas. Hibiscus, extremely good for your heart. The one other thing I'll say, Aaron, is as you age, that equation is going to change. There's no getting around it. Biology is a fact, and it cannot be argued. As you get older and older, you'll start to see some of those changes in the things that you eat. I know that you say you were saying the other day you were trying to bulk up. So for that, I mean, obviously weightlifting in combination with protein, not the empty calories of soda, is going to be your best bet. I'm sure you already know that.
Yeah, it's also just for like teeth and stuff. You don't want to be drinking too much Coke. But I've been actually, like, I don't know. I think, yeah, finding something that provides some sort of nutritional value versus Coke, which provides none.
Yeah, and
Ryan,
go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Bayard here is saying sugar is the number one health issue and cause of disease in America. Eat sugar and you will suffer. I totally second this. As Americans, we definitely consume too much sugar. The one caveat that I'm going to throw in here is that there is more and more and more research coming out that artificial sugars are actually worse for you than regular sugar. Now, that doesn't mean that you can go out and start pounding sugar, right? The key to everything is moderation. If you do everything in moderation, you likely not see some of the big pronounced effects. But sugar is added to so many things, it's very, very hard to moderate it. But what I would say is that I would try to limit your sugar intake considerably. And if you can, stick with real sugar as opposed to the processed artificial sweeteners.
100%. Well, let's see. Let's do a final quick run through of just how the overall market's trading, Ryan. Let's go see SPY, maybe the Qs. All right, so we're still hanging in there, maybe a little bit below that 408 level, but still a green day for sure, carried by the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Zuckerberg. Came in yesterday, Meta, and just absolutely crushed on earnings. Up, what is it up still? 13% today. 14%. So great day for Meta, as you can see there, trading above those averages. Any other final thoughts before we wrap up here, Ryan?
Well, yeah, final thought here. So first of all, as far as the market goes, let me go back to SPY here, because the big thing that I watch every single day, I'm gonna type it in here. Big thing that I watch every single day is where are we in terms of the larger scheme of things. Right now, we are kind of inside this range. To me, there's nothing here telling me anything about the next direction. Perhaps that will change throughout the course of the day. We still have a lot of time left in the session, but I want to see where we close. It was great that we broke down below 406. It looks today, at least right now, like we're going to close above it. Look out, though. If we reverse and end up closing below that 406, I think we probably gap down tomorrow. We'll see if that ends up taking place. As far as some of the smaller names go from the pre-market movers tool, let's just do a real quick run through for them. CFRX might not be over. Holding that 226 really is going to need volume to move. UCAR, been strong. Chinese name, be careful. Let's see if it pops the top off. Atom, extremely weak. I know we're holding the 663. To me, there's probably better plays. As you already mentioned, Meta holding those gains. I'd be curious to see if this moves through the 240. And then the other two that we want to watch, Pinterest and Snapchat, and other three we want to watch, excuse me, Pinterest, Snapchat, and Amazon, all reporting earnings today. Honorable mention to Intel as well.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Ryan. As always, great show today. Thank you for hanging out. Benzinga live trading. We're a little, different crew today. Just Ryan and I. No Money Mitch, no Zunaid. So make sure to smash the like for Ryan, who has been carrying the load all week. Tomorrow, again, we might get some special guests. So make sure to tune in after pre-market prep. We will be going live around 9:05 a.m. Eastern. And again, in about 30 minutes, we'll be starting up Benzinga Live. You don't need to go anywhere. This stream will redirect you there. There will be a slight little break there, but we'll be back live again soon. Again, yeah, thanks to everyone who hung out. Please smash the like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And I guess Ryan, in true fashion to his heritage, Irish goodbye to us. So with that, I'm just messing with you.
You got me, man. You made me laugh. I was here to let me wrap it up solo. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Goodbye. Oh, sorry about that. All right, guys. I'll be back on in 30 minutes. Make sure to tune in at 11:30. And again, tomorrow morning, if I don't see you till then, peace and love, y'all.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Those words